I wish you guys could see the face that I'm pulling as I'm just looking at this text box here. Hello? Excuse you? Hello, everyone. Welcome on in. It's time for getting our first ending in Kale's Child. I am both excited and horrified at the same time. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing how the game will wrap this up. But then also, after that, we'll be on the journey for all the other endings, which is... It'll be a time, I'm sure. Yeah, Raise your hand if you're mentally prepared for this. I'm not. I mean, I guess... Let's get into this. I actually don't know how long this will take. It is an ending, after all, but it's also just a common ending. We'll find out together. I'll stop dragging my feet, okay. Right, the chapter name is Seriko, in a way. Load this data, I guess. Cries a little bit. We have no updates on the person of interest in the case, Miyashiro Takeru-kun. The police have said that the reason for issuing a warrant that reveals the minor's real name was of grave importance for this case. That's a valid sound to make in response to that, yeah. I woke up with a dull ache in my head and an unpleasant sound in my ears. I must have been sweating. My clothes are wet and sticky. Where am I? Oh. I'd never seen this ceiling or smelled these smells before, but then I remembered. This is Phrygia, Momose-san's company. I didn't feel like I'd slept at all. I put my hand on the cushions of the sofa I had been lying on and slowly sat up. And after what happened, when the last moments of the dream came flashing back to me, I looked at my hands. I could still feel the sensation of her motionless, but still warm and loving body. My hands were shaking, but they were the color of human skin. Back then, they'd been stained dark red. Stained with no nose. Ellipsis. Why? Why? Are you okay? Far from it, sweetie, far from it. Oh. Ayumida was sitting on the sofa across from me. She winced when she looked at me. Sorry, of course you're not. I'll go make some coffee or something. She stood up. I didn't want any. I didn't feel like eating or drinking anything. But I couldn't even muster up the energy to refuse. And that's how exhausted I was. The Ministry of Law's Human Rights Protection Bureau, the Lawyers Association, and all major human rights groups have given statements essentially stating no disagreement with the decision to release this boy's name. Public opinion, by and large, agrees with them. Just like what happened 6 years ago. You mean with Nichijou Takumi? Yeah, we love a callback. That's such a strong callback that the characters pointed out. Yeah, they said he was the main suspect behind the New Generation madness, but he proved them wrong and became famous. Kunosata-san and Momose-san were talking in front of the TV. And the people on TV were still saying that I was the one who was behind the murders. It didn't seem real. When they said my name, I felt like they were referring to some other Miyashita Takaru who lived somewhere else in the world. Almost I saw and looked over at me. Good morning. I tried to say something back, but the words got stuck in my throat. I felt like if I said something, all the feelings bottled up inside me would come pouring out at once. Shinjo-chan got in touch with me. He said that the news is calling you a person of interest, but for some reason, the police have decided you're the mastermind behind these crimes, including the death of Kurase no No. He managed to get me Kurase no No's top secret autopsy report, and it all looks very bad for you. It's probably all faked. They haven't even gone through their right legal channels. Autopsy report. I couldn't process the phrase. I heard it, but it didn't make sense. The police still don't know you're here at Frisia. They're searching around Hekiho Academy in Albadorn. And their voices got further away. I could tell they were saying something to me, but I couldn't figure out what. That's strange. They should be trying to give me information about what's happening to me right now. Ellipsis. Information? Why? Would it help? Help with what? What can it help me solve? No matter what I do, it's too late now. Ellipsis. Kunosato-san slammed her hand down on the desk. I looked up, surprised. Well, do you have any idea? Idea about what? I'm asking if you have any idea where Onoe Serika might have gone. Well, you spent yesterday asleep. Shinjo-chan and I went to her house, but nobody was there. Yesterday? So today's November 5th? We copied the data on her computer, but we didn't find any clues. We have no idea where she could have gone. And now that it's been decided that you're the criminal, even Shinjo-chan can't use official resources to search for her. And the police are acting strange. Someone set us a trap. We walked right into it. Which means you're our only clue left. If you really were Onoe Serika's childhood friend, you must know something. Serika's childhood friend. Yeah, that's right. Serika was my childhood friend. She'd always been by my side ever since you were little. We did everything together. So why? Why would Serika... Ellipsis. Konosato grabbed me and pulled me close enough that I could feel her breath on my face. Stop screwing around. This is our chance. Are you just going to let it go to waste? We finally know who the Giggler Maniac serial killer is. If we can find her, then we might be able to find them. That's enough. A loud voice echoed off the walls of the room. I thought Arimura had gone to make coffee, but at some point she walked over to me and started to glare at Kunosato-san. First he lost his little sister, and now he lost his big sister, Kurisu-senpai. And yet you're still...
Arimura.
Come to think of it, she was really worried about Kurisu too, and I promised that I would find her. So, why? Why did this happen? She glanced at me for just an instant, and her lips were trembling. Can't you try and be a little more sensitive, Kunosato-san? You never changed, do you? What's that supposed to mean? Whenever somebody's sibling is involved, you get testy. Arimura swallowed her words. It was like she'd been stabbed. She clenched her fists tight, as if trying to stop herself from doing something she might regret. And there are very few people I'm capable of being nice to, and unfortunately, Yukiglu maniacs aren't on that list. At least you're aware, I don't know. Kunosato-san let go of me and spoke, her voice as cold as ever. You're a horrible person. And there's no point in lying to you. All I wish to do is find the killer and use them to reveal who's really pulling the strings. But still... Arimura's phone suddenly started vibrating inside her pocket. She looked annoyed when she took it out, but her expression changed when she saw the screen. She tapped the screen and put the phone up to her ear. Hello, Yuki. Is everything okay? Yeah. Yeah. I see. Oh, wait a moment. First, put Hana on. Yuki, Hana. I come to think of it. Where are they right now? Does something terrible happen to them because of me? Arimura was speaking crisply and clearly into the phone, while I was still struggling to even think. She reminded me a lot of Kurisu. Hana, you're listening, right? We're still stuck here, so stay with Yuki and Yuto-kun, okay? Yuto-kun's in bad shape, but so is Yuki. Thanks. Okay, put Uki on for me. And then she handed me the phone. She says she wants to hear your voice. Say something. Okay. I took the phone and gently put it up to my ear. Hello? Oh, Takara-san. It's Uki. Her voice was even weaker than usual. I could hear a tiny noise behind her. I'm sorry, Uki. It's my fault. No, I'm fine, but there's so many people from the media, and the police are here, and they searched your room, and, Nono-san's too. Man, the doctor went somewhere and hasn't come back. I don't know what to do. Dad didn't come back yet? Did the police still questioning him? I'm really sorry. No, I'm sorry. I heard a tiny snuffle on the other end. I know things are worse for you than for me. So I have to stay strong now, don't I? I'm Yuta-kun's big sis now. Her voice was strong, but I could still hear the tears. Miyashiro-senpai, it's time to hang up. If any of the police in Alba dorm hear her, they'll know where you are. Arimura took the phone from me. She talked with Yuki a little while more and then hung up. I couldn't forget the sound of Yuki's tears. And that was when I finally realized that all I'd done was apologize. I hadn't said anything to make her feel better. My home, AAAaaa dorm, was being ripped apart by police officers looking for clues. I could imagine Yuki and Yuta there, sobbing and not knowing what to do. No, I have to go. The next thing I knew, I was staggering forward. I got off the sofa and headed for the front door.
Miyashiro-senpai?
Kurisu was gone. So was Yui. So I had to be there or else Yuki and Yuto. My hand touched the doorknob. And I slowly opened the door. Everything started to feel less and less real, and I watched my body move like a character in a movie.
Miyashiro-chan?
Where are you going? To AAAaaa dorm. If I don't go quick, Yuki and Yuto. Wait, you can't go outside. I didn't mean to grab my arm. The news hasn't shown your picture yet, but photos of your face are all over the internet. Let me go. I didn't mean to scream, and her hand was knocked away. It was only when I saw the look of shock on her face that I realized I'd used my power. I could see my T-sword. The symbol of my useless power, which hadn't even been able to protect the girl I loved. What good is this thing? No way. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it! My body started running on its own. I ran out of Phrygia, without knowing what would happen if I left. I hadn't run very far, but my muscles were starting to scream. I couldn't stop moving. The things in front of the train station were the same as ever. Nobody noticed me. And there's a picture of my face out there, right? So why didn't anyone notice me? I didn't understand. Had it all really happened? Or did everyone here not know what had happened yesterday night? I have to get back. I have to get back to AAAaaa dorm. The police are at AAAaaa dorm, ripping apart the place I loved. They decided I was the killer, and they'd even searched Nona's room. Why? That night, I'd asked Shinjo-san to let me take Nona's body to the hospital. My memories cut out after that, and I could only remember a few things. I remembered being taken to Phrygia, screaming and sobbing all the way there. And then, that's right. And that's when I'd heard the news that I was wanted as a person of interest in the case. Damn it. Damn it all. Nona's-san had given me something to drink as well as some medicine. It was probably a sleeping pill or something. To calm me down. To keep me quiet. I didn't want to sleep. Because Kurisu, the one I loved, was dead. And it was only Sarika, my childhood friend, who'd killed her. How could I sleep? But I'd spent the whole day on a sofa asleep. I ran. I was too tired to even run straight, but my body was heavy, like lead, and wasn't doing what I told it, but I still kept on running. No one noticed me. Why are you all walking around like everything's normal? Why are you all smiling and shopping? What the hell is wrong with you people? A warrant? What the hell? There's no reason I would ever have wanted to kill No. He staggered, tripped, and fell. I must have skinned my knee because it started to feel like it was burning. And once I fell over, I couldn't get back up. And it was all I could do to roll over. And that was when I realized that I knew this place. This is... I looked around and shivered. This is the place. This is the place where my best friend had cut up my little sister into tiny little pieces. I felt a sudden strong urge to vomit. Was it because I've been running for so long? Or was it because of my memories of this place? What the hell? Why the hell did I come here of all places? I thought I'd been running the right way, but I was in such a hurry that I'd taken a wrong turn. If this was a kind of trick that God was playing on me, then what the hell was he bringing me here for? Was this his way of telling me that I could go back to that night and reset everything? But that was impossible. With every passing hour, things got worse, and there was no changing the past. Nah. Sure. Damn it all. I punched the ground with my full strength, not caring about the pain. Again and again. My hands wouldn't stop. I wanted to destroy it. But did I want to destroy the ground or my hand? Or maybe I wanted to destroy myself in the way I was feeling. Damn it all! Are you alright? Oh, random man, you have no idea. I suddenly heard a voice. I looked up and saw two boys about college age. Are you not feeling well? Suddenly, the look on one of the boys' faces changed. He stepped back and dragged the other away. What? Shit, dude. What's the matter? That's me and Shirataku. I stood up in surprise. I had no idea who these people were, which meant that my photo really was on the internet. I felt a sharp pain in my stomach when I stood up. It took me a second to realize I had been kicked. Idiot! What the hell are you doing? Is that serial killer right? Don't worry. No way a wrinkly wimp like this is going to beat me. Hang on, I'll call the cops. Don't even bother. Something hard hit my face, my shoulders, and my stomach again and again. I wiped the blood coming out of my nose with my arms. I couldn't even keep my eyes open. Hey, what's wrong, murderer? He started to get excited and yell as he kicked me. I opened my mouth to tell him that he was mistaken. And just as he kicked me in the stomach, so only drool and vomit came pouring out. Stop it. Why is this happening to me? I heard the sound of shattering glass and the impact stopped. Hey, you little shits. What do you think you're doing to my friend, huh? I never thought I'd be happy to see Gen-san, yet here we are. You're okay, Taku? No, you know, just being accused of serial killing. Normal things. Gen-san took me by a quiet, lonely route to his fortress, Miyashita Park. Of course, the police had come to the park in droves as well, but Gen-san and the other homeless had told them nothing. Of course not. My country doesn't abandon its comrades. Thanks to them, the cops didn't even know which RV was mine yet. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to come here. It felt like a long, long time since I'd come here, even though it really hadn't been that long at all. The two boys who'd attacked me must have called the cops, because I could hear sirens going by in the distance. This place probably wouldn't be place forever. Wow, okay. My brain got stuck with the fact that I stumbled over my words, only to stumble on my words again later. I love this. This place probably wouldn't be safe forever, either. You know, Taku. Gen-san took out another bottle of liquor and started to sip from it. Gen-san fell silent. He looked at me like he was trying to work himself up to say something, and then looked away and took another drink. I'd never seen him like this before. I wrapped my arms around my aching body and waited for him to speak. And after a long time, I heard about the lady. The pain worse than the one from my injury suddenly ran through my whole body. The news wasn't talking about anything else, so it wouldn't surprise me if Gen-san knew about it. And I can tell you ain't the killer. I'm of noble blood after all. But I still want to ask you, Taku. Is she really dead? She is unfortunately very dead. And this time, when the question reached my mind, I understood exactly what he was asking. Was Nuno really dead? I sat in this familiar RV, asking myself the question again and again. Gen-san took sips from his bottle and waited for me. Yeah. I didn't know how long it took me to do it, but I slowly nodded. Nuno is gone. I looked down, feeling like I admitted to some horrible, unfixable mistake. Why? She's one of the people who deserve to be happy in life. I couldn't lift my head at all. But for some reason, I didn't cry. And the sun set and another hour passed. I never did make it back to Albador. And Gen-san's friends had told me that the police were watching it, and it was impossible to even get close to the place. I tried to go anyway, but Gen-san took a gulp of liquor and said this to stop me. You know, Taku. If you get arrested now, you lose. Isn't that gonna make the little tykes you're waiting on you cry? That was when I suddenly remembered what I'd been thinking about the last time I was in the club room. It was like the killer was playing was a player in a game challenging me. And that player was, though I still couldn't believe it, my childhood friend. I'd kept losing to every move she made, and she'd stolen away some of the people I'd cared about. What if I had been able to win the game? This whole nightmare never would have happened then, right? Gen-san, I'm sorry, but I need your help with something. Sure thing, but it'll cost you some spare change. I'll put it on your tab, so you can pay me once it's all done. Gen-san gulped down the last of the alcohol from his cup. I went with Gen-san and a few of his friends to a certain condo in Daikanyama. Yeah, Daikanyama. Daikanyama. There we go. Deliberately choosing their routes with the least amount of people. We passed by police officers several times, but because of Gen and the others, no one suspected me. Is this the place? Yeah. Just help me get inside. I can do the rest myself. Sure. Make it quick. This was Sarika's house. And it was the place I'd been heading to the night I lost Kurisu. I'd come here a few times, though not often. Back when I first left Alba Dorm and went to live in Miyashita Park, I didn't know how to get food or do my laundry, and Sarika had helped me out. I'd used her shower, and sometimes even stayed the night. Of course, nothing late had happened between us. I looked up and saw that the lights were off, and there's no sign of any police or detectives. Okay, let's go. I took Gen-san inside and left the others behind. I went to Sarika's room and used my power to open all the locks. I'd taken Gen-san with me because I couldn't reboot my power on its own. Gen-san's eyes had gone wide when he'd seen the door open, but all he said was, guess I must be drinking too much. Thank you. You can go home now. Sure. Take care. Gen-san patted me on the back and left. After I watched him leave, I went inside. I tried to sense if someone else was in the room before I turned the lights on. There was no one there, including Sarika. Once I was sure I was alone, I turned on the light switch. Haunts! It was a normal room, if anything. It was a little more grown up than you'd expect from a teenage girl. Yeah, but also haunts. The room wasn't especially messy. Shinjo-san and the others had supposedly come here once, but they hadn't ransacked the place in their search. Where did he go on the way? Mamase-san had said that they found nothing here to indicate where Sarika had gone. I came here because I wanted to know what Sarika was really after. But what was I supposed to do now? And when I did find Sarika, what would I do then? Ask questions? If I did, what kind of answers would satisfy me? What kind of answers would be good enough? Satisfied? Good enough? No, nothing she could ever say would justify what she did. I turned on Sarika's computer without even being sure what I should be looking for. I opened each file I could and looked inside. So, there's nothing here after all. None of the files were important, just like Momose-san had said. There was a folder marked Newspaper Club that was filled with information about the case, but it was all stuff I'd already seen at school. Wait, what about the drawers? I pulled one of them open. I flinched back when I saw what was inside. Sumo stickers. And not just one or two. There were tons. And all of them were the real 11th Rorschach. What are these doing here? In a moment where it felt as if I was suffering from cerebral anemia, my vision suddenly darkened. Barely managing to stay conscious, I looked away from the drawer. And when the stickers disappeared from my sight, I forced myself to take control before any horrible delusions could overcome me. Sweat trickled down my forehead. I quickly tried to shut the drawer, but then I heard a metallic sound inside. I rummaged through the drawer with my hand, being careful to avoid looking at the stickers. I touched something hard and flat. I pulled it down and quickly slammed the door shut. What is this? It's my... Yeah, I saw that coming. It's my phone. And it wasn't the new one I was using now. It was the one I dropped and lost at UH Tokyo General Hospital. Scared, I turned it on. And saw the picture I'd sent as my wallpaper. It was the photo I'd taken with my family. Hands on the wall, slowly! The door suddenly opened, and I heard the click of a cocking gun behind me. I almost turned around, but a low voice told me to stop. Don't try anything. Do what you're told. Oh no, that was definitely a cop. Was I gonna be arrested here? If I was, that would be the end of everything. I wouldn't be able to escape no matter what excuses I tried to make. Yuto. Yuki. Dad. I'm sorry. I won't be coming home. You're a gigalomaniac. If you use your power, you can escape easily. And that was what a tempting voice said from somewhere in the corner of my mind. But if I ran, that would make them think that I really was the killer. If it ever went to trial, it would look very bad.
Then it's okay to just kill him, Taku. There aren't any witnesses here.
I heard a voice I recognized in my head. Was I hallucinating from exhaustion? Or was she using telepathy? And what the hell are you doing here, huh? The man I thought was a police officer suddenly sounded surprised. Miyashiro-kun? Huh? It was only then that I realized who it was. I twisted my upper body to look at who was behind me. Yep.
Shinjo-san.
I knew I recognized his voice. It really is you, Miyashiro-kun.
Shinjo-san.
I almost collapsed from relief. Shinjo-san put his gun away and sighed as he walked over to me. It's almost the same thing with you, isn't it? You worried me. He clenched his hand into a fist and bopped me on the head. Ow. I didn't know what to do when I got the call from Momose-san. Where have you... Huh? He stared at my face. How did you get hurt like that? No, this is... Explain what happened this afternoon. I see. Shinjo-san sighed again.
自分が置
You
か
know
れてる
the
状況くらい
situation you're in,
把
right?
握してるだ
You
ろ。
shouldn't be going
部
outside.
活に外に出るんじゃない。それで
What are you
ここに
doing
は
here?
何をしに来たんだ。
After a long enough pause, the change's sound started to get suspicious. I answered him honestly.
わかりません。
I don't know.
何？
What?
探すつ
I
もり
was
でした
planning。on looking for her,
あいつを
but then I realized that I didn't know what
でも
I'd do when I found her.
探してどうしたいのかだんだんわからなくなって。
My head said he could done this. Was she really responsible for everything else that had happened too? If she said yes, would I believe her? If she said yes, what would I do?
僕は何をしたいんでしょう
What do I
ね。
want to do? Change us
新庄さん。これを
I'll give you
渡しておく。
this. Shinjo-san took something out of his suit pocket and handed it to me.
申し訳ない
I'm
が
sorry, but I
中
looked
は改
inside
め
it.
させてもらった。
I didn't know what might be
何
a
が手が
clue.
かりになるかわからなかったから。青葉寮を
I
捜
found
索
that
し
when
て
I
い
was
た時に
searching
出て
out
きた
the
んだ。
door.
本
Honestly,
来君たち
your
だけが
family
読む
should
べ
be
き
the
ものだっ
ones
た。
to read it. Only ones to
警
read
察
it.
の他の
But
連中には
the
読まれ
rest
て
of
い
the
ない
force
な。
hasn't seen it.
すまない。
I'm sorry. Shinjo-san bowed his head a little. On the front of the envelope was written, "To my beloved family." And on the back of the envelope was the name No No.
ノーノ
I opened the envelope and saw that there were several sheets of paper inside. And they were covered with rows of neatly handwritten words.
大切な家族。
To my beloved family.
大切な家族へ
To my beloved family.
もしもの
I'm
時
writing
のた
this
め
in
に
case something
こ
terrible
れを書いていきま
happens.
す。今まであり
Thank
が
you
と
for
う。
everything.
私
Everything
の
in
部屋
my
に
room
残っ
is
てい
yours
る
to
ものは
use.
好きに使ってください。家具は
It would make
で
me
きれば
happy
次
you
に
kept
家
the
族にな
furniture
る
for the
人の
next
ため
person who
処
becomes
分
a
し
part of
ない
our
でくれると
family.
嬉しいです。父さんへ
Dad, I'm sorry I won't be able to help
病
around
院の
with the
仕事を
clinic
手伝えな
anymore.
くなってごめんなさい。やりかけてい
All
た
the
事務の書
paperwork I
類は
haven't finished is
診
in the
察
drawer in
室
the
の引き出
exam
しの
room.
中に入れておきました。借りていたま
The
まの医
medical
学
books
書
I
は
borrowed are on my shelf.
私の部屋の本棚に置いてあります。そういえ
You
ば
know, when I said I
私が
wanted to
看
be
護
a
師になり
nurse,
たいって相
all
談
you
した
said
時
was, "Oh,
父
I
さんは
see."
一言、ああ、そうか。としか言い、あの時は
I thought you might have
反
been
対され
opposed
て
to
るの
it,
かなっ
but
て、ちょっ
you
と
actually
しょげて
knew
いま
what
し
I
たけ
wanted
ど、
to do a long time ago, didn't
父
you?
さん、私の進路志望なんて、とうの昔に知っていたんですってね。私と患者さんが
Did
話
you
して
hear
るの
me
を聞い
talking
た？
with one of the patients?
それとも、
Or did you just know
なんとな
somehow?
く分かってたのかな。きっかけは、
It started with what you
Takeru の
said
リ
when
ハ
I
ビ
was
リの手
helping
伝いをして
Takeru
い
with
た
his
時
physical
に、
therapy.
父さんに言われた
You're
言
doing
葉。
a great job for someone who hasn't gone to school.
独学
I'm
なのにやる
impressed.
じゃないか。なかなかだぞ。という一言でした。きっと、
I'm sure that's just
父
the way
親
a
というの
father
はそう
is.
いうものなんで
I
しょ
love the
う。
rules you'd made for our family.
父さんが
Thank you.
作った家のルール、私は好きでした。ありがとう。くれぐれも
Please don't
飲
drink
みす
too
ぎには
much.
注意してください。ゆうと、
Nito and
Uki.
Uki.
大変な時
I'm
な
sorry
のに
this is happening at
こ
a
んなこ
time
とに
like
なってしまっ
this.
てごめんね。ゆいのこと
I
は
can't make any
言い
excuses for
訳の
what
しよう
happened
もあ
with
りません。
Yui. I couldn't
止
stop
め
what
ることがで
happened.
きなかった
It's my
私の責
responsibility.
任です。ゆうと、
Nito,
口
I'm
う
sorry
るさ
for
いお
being
姉ちゃん
such
で
an
ごめんね。
obnoxious sister.
今になって
Looking
思
back,
うと、
maybe I was a little
ちょ
too
っと厳しすぎ
strict.
たかなと思っています。あなたは男
You're a
の子なん
boy,
だから、
so you probably wanted
も
to
っと
have
自
more
由にやりた
freedom.
かったでしょうね。ウキ、
Uki, I don't think it
家族
matters
にと
how
っ
long
て
someone's been a
一
part
緒
of
に
a
いた時間の
family.
長さなんて私は関係ないと思っています。 大切なの
What
は
matters is how much
目の
you've
前
seen
で
them
どれ
laugh
だ
or
け泣いた
cry.
り怒ったり
How
した
much you've
か、
seen of each other at your worst.
どれだけみっと
How
もな
many
いところを
feelings
見
you've
せ合っ
shared.
て、どれだけ気持ちを積み重ねることができたかだと思います。あなたは
You're Takuru's little
タクルの
sister.
妹で、
You're Yuto's big
ユウトのお
sister.
姉さんで、
Your dad's daughter.
父さんの
It'll
娘。
be hard being the only girl. But I know you can
女の
do
子
it.
一人じゃ大変だと思うけど、よろしくお願いね。そして、
And lastly,
タクル
to
へ。
Takuru.
あなたと
I'm
約
sorry
束
for
したの
breaking my
に
promise.
破っ
I
て
guess
し
I'm
ま
a
って
bad
ごめんなさ
sister.
い。結局これが
I
ど
don't
んな
know
結
what's
果にな
going
る
to
かわかりま
happen.
せん。
But no matter what happens,
いえ、
I know you'll
た
be
とえどん
mad.
な結果になったとしても、きっとあなたは納得できないでしょう。でも、
But I
も
still
し
think
私
does
に何
happen
かあっ
to
たと
me.
しても、絶対に
Promise me you
復
won't
讐
think
しよ
about
うなんて思わ
revenge.
ないで。今回のこと、
I know she's involved,
間違いな
and
く
I
あ
know
の子
you'll
が関
want
係
to
して
know
いるか
why.
ら、
But
あな
don't
た
try to
は理
find
由が
out.
気になるでしょう。
Don't do anything dangerous.
でも、それを探ろうとしないで。とにかく、危険なことはしないで。できることな
If you
ら、
can,
もう能
forget
力
about
の
your
ことを
power.
忘れてほし
Make
い。
more friends at school.
学校でもっ
Find a
と友達を
girlfriend
作
and
っ
be
て、
the best boyfriend you
彼女も
possibly
見つけ
can.
て、その子のために素敵な男の子になりなさい。あなたがいつもバカ
Go
に
on
し
a
てい
fun
るよう
date
な
and talk about
ど
stuff
う
that
でもいい
doesn't
話で
matter.
もしながら
Like the people you always make
楽
fun
しい
of.
デートをしなさい。あなたが時
Go
間の
out
無
with
駄
your
だと思っ
friends
てい
and
るよ
do
う
some
な
of the things
ど
you've
うで
always
もいい
said you
遊び
were.
を
But
友達と一緒に
you
しな
always
さい。
said were a waste of time.
だって文化
You
祭
looked
の
like
準
you
備
were
をしてい
having
るあな
so
た
much
は
fun at the culture
楽しそうに
festival.
見えたもの。
And when you were talking with Yui and Yuto at
家で
home,
ゆいやゆうとの話に付き合っているあなたもね。私、
every time you
あ
said you
なた
were
が
different
他
from
の人と
everyone
自分
else,
は
I
違う
always
って
wondered why you
口
had
癖
to
の
be
よう
so
に言うたび
stubborn.
に、なぜそこまで意地になるんだろうっていつも不思議に思ってた。確かに
It's true that you have
あ
a
なたに
power
は
that no
他
one
の
else
人にない
has.
力がある。
It's true that your family might be a little different.
他の人が言う普通とは家庭環境だって違うかもしれない。でも
But that
だから
doesn't
といっ
mean
て向きになって
that doesn't mean you
自
have to
分を
get
孤
so
独の中
stubborn
へ閉
about
じ込め
trapping
るの
yourself in a
はどうかな
lonely
って
shell.
思う。私には
I always seemed
あな
to
たが
it always
たく
seemed
さ
to
んの
me
人の
like
中
you
に
were
埋もれ
afraid
て
of
しまう
being
のを
just one face
怖が
among
って
the
いるように
crowd.
見えた。埋もれてしまう
That
程
you
度
were
の自
scared
分
to
だと
think that
思いた
you'd
く
be
ない。
the kind of person who wouldn't
そんな
stand
風
out.
に怯えているように見えた。でも
But I don't think you
私
are.
はそうは思わない。
Not to me.
私の
Even
中
if you're
で
doing the same things
あ
as
なたは
everyone
埋もれたり
else.
しない。たとえあなたがだって
Because
私の
you're part of my
大事な
family.
家族だから。
and I love you.
あ、
Oh,
でも
but please don't dye
髪
your
は染め
hair.
てほしくな
It
い
would
な。
look terrible.
タクルには絶対に似
Anyway,
合わないと
back
思
on
うし。
topic.
これは余談。最後に
Finally, I always wanted to write
タ
down
ク
the
ル
one
にず
thing
っ
I've
と聞い
always
てほし
wanted
かっ
you
た
to
大
know,
切なこと。
but I couldn't do it.
ここに書き残そうと思ったけれど
Please forgive
ダメでした。許してください。いつかどこかでそ
When
れ
you
を知
find
った
out
時、
someday,
あなたは
somewhere,
きっと
you're
私
going
の
to
ことを軽蔑
despise
し
me, and you're going to
そして
hate me.
嫌うでしょう。でもどうか
But please,
私が
never
タク
doubt
ル
my
のこ
love
とを
for
思う
you.
心だけは疑わないでください。私は
I love you.
あなたのことが
If
好
you
きで
can
す。
believe that no matter what,
この気持
those
ちだけ
feelings are
は
real.
嘘じゃないと
That's
信
enough
じて
to
も
make
らえ
me
るなら、
happy.
それだけで私は幸せです。そろそろ行かなきゃいけない時間になりま
I'm
した。
sorry for being so selfish, Takeru.
勝手なことして
And I'll say it
ごめ
one
ん
more
ね
time.
タクル。
But don't think about revenge.
もう一度言うけれど
Don't do anything
復讐なんて
dangerous.
絶対に考えないで。危険なことはしないで。何もかも忘
Forget
れて、
everything and live the
他の
same
人
life
と
as
同じ
everyone
日
else
常を
does.
だけど
But
埋もれ
don't
な
get
いよう
buried
に
among the crowd.
強く しっかりと過ごしていってください。できることなら
I pray that you never
こ
read
の手
this
紙が読
letter.
まれるようなことになり
November
ません
3rd,
ように。
2015. No, no.
2015年11月3日のの。
Tears started to pour from my eyes as soon as they finished. I tried to wipe them away, but they wouldn't stop. I fell to the floor, holding Nono's letter in my hands. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop sobbing. As I cried aloud in my mind, I was apologizing to Nono over and over again. November 5th, 2015. Thursday, I can read. Same time. Physio Credit Bureau.
So,
I see. Yes, understood.
Miyashiro-chan.
Miyashiro-chan was at the killer's house, he
犯人の家にいたそうよ。
says. Momose moved the phone away from her ear and relayed Shinja's message to Kunosato. Kunosato stopped typing at her computer and grabbed the phone away from her.
新庄さん、
Shinja-san,
宮
put
代に代わって
Miyashiro
くれ。
on. I want to ask
確
him
認したいこ
something.
とがある。
She must have not liked the answer she got back because she looked annoyed.
だったら、
Then bring him
な
here
るべ
as
く
soon
早
as
く
you
こちらに連
can.
れてきてくれ。
I've more or less finished my search of the
大ま
data.
かにだが、
I just sent you a
デ
message
ータ
with the
の洗い出しと
results.
検索が終わった。結果は、今そっちに落ち込んでいる時
Give
間
him a
などな
swift
いと。
kick in the ass and tell him he can cry later. While that is hilarious as a statement alone, fuck you, Kunosato. Get a heart somewhere. Maybe you can get it from a thrift store. I don't know, man. Momose raised her eyebrow at Kunosato. As Kunosato hung up, I couldn't reach so good.
ちょっと厳しいん
That
じ
was
ゃ
a
ない
little harsh, don't you think?
事実です。
It's the truth. And that's not what I meant, Momose began.
近しい人が亡くなって
You
しま
know
った
what
気
it's
持
like
ち
to
は
lose someone
み
close
おちゃ
to
ん
you
も知ってるじゃ
too.
ない
Kunosato looked down, as if searching her own feelings. But then, she looked up as if nothing had happened and turned back to her computer.
私は
I only care
利己主義
about
ですから
myself. Yeah, we could tell.
失恋した男女
The
同士
idea
の
of a
つくよ
boy
う
and
な
a
絆
girl
の
who
舐
could
め合い
have
は
lost the ones
ヘドが
they've
出ま
loved
す。
consoling one another disgusts me.
同情するのも
I don't give
される
sympathy.
のもご
And
め
I
んです。
don't want it either.
舐め合いかどうかは
I
とも
think
か
that
く
sympathy is part of being
私
kind,
は
you know?
同情って優しさだと思ってるわよ。
気持ちはわか
And
る。
I think that there's
だ
nothing
から
that
頑張れ
pushes
と
a
いう言
person
葉と
away so much as saying,
人を突き
I
放
know
すの
how
は
you
ないと
feel,
思い
so
ます
hang
が
in there. I think that depends entirely on the person and the situation.
何も言わなくていいの
You
よ。
don't have to say
そういう
anything.
のは
People can just tell.
自然に伝わるもんだから。
True.
きちんとそうす
Being
るこ
able
と
to
がで
do
き
that
る
is
人を
part of being an
大人っ
adult.
ていうの。
Kunosato chuckled as she looked at the screen.
私は未
I'm a
成年
minor.
です。
And then Momose chuckled too.
それが
And
問
that's the
題なの
problem,
よ
isn't
ね
it?。She sighed. Oh,
ちゃん。
Arimita-chan. You
寝ててい
can
い
go
の
to
よ。
sleep, you know.
ろく
You
に
haven't
休ん
gotten
でない
any
でしょ。
rest, right? Kunosato turned and saw that Arimita had gotten off the sofa. She looked like she wanted to say something, but instead, she took a deep breath.
大丈夫
I'm
です。
fine.
それより
Anyway, what did you
何か
find?
分かったんですか？
Momose told her that they'd finally found Miyashiro. Arimita looked genuinely relieved.
そうですか。
I see. I'm glad.
分かった。有村、
Arimita, have you ever heard anything
お
about
前の
Onoe's
過去を聞いたこ
past?
とはあるか？
Kunosato suddenly looked away from the monitor and spoke to her. Huh?
尾上の過去
On
だ
the ways past, such as
そうだな
when she was in elementary school, for
例えば小
example.
学生の時の話とか
She was caught off guard by the sudden question, but Arimura was able to answer quickly.
宮代先
I
輩
just
の
know that
幼
she
馴
was
染だっていう
Miyashiro
ことだ
senpai's
けです
childhood
ね
friend.
そ
Nothing
れ以外は
else.
何も
She'd only gotten to know Serika about a month ago. And all they'd ever talked about was the case. She didn't know much at all about Serika's private life.
どんな些細なこと
Did she
でも
ever lie about her past?
過
It
去に
doesn't
関
matter
して
how small it was.
尾上が嘘を言っていたことはなかったかないと思
I
いま
don't
す
think so. Sari. That
彼
girl
女は
didn't lie very
嘘が
much.
少ない人でしたから
And that was the truth. Arimura was capable of recognizing even common courtesies and jokes as lies. And that's why she knew how filled with lies most people's conversations were. And that was the real reason why everything she said at school was a joke. Nothing made her more upset than when she was talking about something serious, and the person she was speaking with responded with a lie. And that's why she told jokes. Everyone around her joked back. It was a lot easier that way. But out of all the people she knew, Ilo and Serika from the newspaper club were some of the ones who lied the least. They just weren't any good at it. But to Arimura, that was a greater blessing than the others could imagine. I can read. And that was why it had been such a shock. It might not have been as bad for her as it was for Miyashiro, but she still felt like she'd been betrayed by someone who was more than a friend. When Kunosato realized that she wasn't going to get anything useful out of Arimura, she turned back to her computer.
彼女のこと
Have you found anything about her?
何かわかりそうですかわからない
Nothing. We're getting
お手上げ
nowhere.
というやつだ
She sighed and flicked the monitor with her fingers.
ここは調査
This
会
is a
社
detective agency. And
さ
we've
ら
got
に新庄さんが
Shinjo-san's
持っている
network
ネットワー
too.
クも使える
Finding people and doing
人
background
探
checks
し
should
や
be the
身辺調
easiest
査は
thing
お
in the
箱なんだよ
world.
だが
But I can't find
どれ
any
だけ
information
遡 っ
on
ても
her that dates back
中
before
学以前
middle
の記録が
school.
出てこない
The first time we see any information
あい
is
つが
November
第三者的な情報
2009.
として最初に登場するのは2009年の11月だ
That's an oddly specific point in time. Arimura gasped.
渋谷地震
And
のあ
that's
っ
the
た
month of
月
the Shibuya earthquake,
ですよ
isn't
ね
it?
正確には
More specifically,
地
2
震から
weeks
約
after
2
the
週間後の
earthquake,
11
on
月
November
21
21st,
日
I found her records at a hospital
AAAaaa
affiliated with the
東京
AH
総合病院
Tokyo
の系列
General.
病院のカルテにその記録が残っているところが
But there's no data from
それ以
before
前の
that.
データは
No
どこ
birth
にも残ってい
certificate,
ない
no school records, not even a family
出生届
register.
も就学の記録もそれどころかさらに言うと
And what's more, Kunosato's face took on an even sterner look as she pulled up a medical record. And the specific medical record belonged to Miyashiro Takuru. Hmm.
すいません。ごちそうさまでした。
Thanks for the meal.
気にしないでいい。
Don't worry about it.
正直、
Honestly, I'm
こ
sick
の
of
味
this
には飽きてる
flavor.
んだ。
After I finished eating the calorie block, Shinjo-san threw the wrapper in the trash. He said that whenever he was running around on a case, he always kept 2 or 3 with him. I ate them a lot too, so I knew what he meant about being sick of them.
僕も
And I ate the
チョコ味をよ
chocolate
く食べ
ones
て
a
ま
lot
す。
too.
そうか。
I see. I didn't know how long I'd been crying for. But it was the first time I'd cried until my lungs and throat hurt. Shinjo-san had offered me a handkerchief, and quietly waited a long time for me to finish. And after I had fallen silent, and I couldn't find any new tears to wipe away with the handkerchief, my stomach suddenly rumbled. Until then, I hadn't even felt like drinking water, but after a full day of no food, my body had begun to demand it. Shinjo-san was fiddling with his cell phone. He seemed to be checking his messages. Then he turned to me, questioningly.
宮代くん、
Miyashita-kun,
すまないが、
but I need to
聞きたい
ask
こと
you
があるんだ。
something. I could tell he was asking if that would be okay. I felt like the tears were about to start again, but I held them back. I looked down at Nono's letter. I've been holding it so hard that it got crumpled in my hands. Don't think about revenge. Don't do anything dangerous.
分かってる。
I know.
大丈夫だ
I'm
から。
fine, Nono.
ノノ
Well, I'm not fine at all. I'm
全然
not,
大丈夫じゃないけど。
I'm fine.
大丈夫じゃないけど。大丈夫だから。
I touched the letter as gently as I could. And then I looked at Shinjo-san with tear-swollen eyes and nodded.
どうぞ。
Go ahead.
何ですか。
What is it?
尾上セリ
It's
カ
about
のこと
Onoe Serika.
久野里ちゃん
Kunosato-san
と俺、
or
それ
Masai-san,
に
and I have all
百瀬
looked
さんも
into
調べて
her,
るが、
but there's just
不
too
明な
much we
点が
don't
多すぎる
know.。
覚えていること
So,
だけで構
please
わな
just tell me what you remember.
い。最も古
Give me
い、
your oldest memory
で
of
きれ
her,
ば、
preferably
最
of
初
the
に出
time
会っ
when
た
you
頃の
first
ことか
met.
ら、すべてを話してほしい。
I wasn't sure how to process the complicated feelings I felt when he asked me that question. It was painful and real to think that my childhood friend was a murderer. It made me fears that I lost my best friend and both my sisters at the same time. It made me sad to think that the letter that Nono had written to me, and to realize that I might never feel better again. And it made me feel pathetic to realize how I didn't want to admit that Onoe Serika was the cause of it all. It all mixed together, and like a swamp that threatened to draw me down, it pulled me deeper inside of the abyss of my memories.
僕が
And when I first met
尾上と出
Onoe,
会ったのは、
it was before I started elementary school. I can't remember the exact date. She was my next door neighbor, and she'd come over and play with me a lot. Yes, that's right. I was born in 1997, so if it was the same year I started elementary school, it would be around 2004. We played together almost every day. She was like a little sister to me. I do remember that at first. I read her picture books that I'd only just learned to read myself. And her family was a lot like mine. Right, I'll tell you about mine, though. I was an only child, and both of my parents worked. They both worked at an IT company back then when there weren't very many of those. I think they met each other there. Work was all they cared about. It was only years later that I learned that normal people didn't eat all 3 meals with a babysitter. Around the time I started elementary school, I started going online using one of their old computers. It was common for me to be up past midnight even then, but my parents didn't know that. I think they just didn't care. I can remember at least 2 birthdays where they just left me a present and a note saying that they were sorry they couldn't make it. The year after the last one, there wasn't even a present. And the year after that, there wasn't even a note. Part of the way through elementary school, I mostly stopped going to class. My homeroom teacher called when I was in the 3rd grade. My mom happened to be home that day, so she picked up the phone. She looked annoyed when she talked to them. She said her husband was the one who took care of all that and hung up. She didn't tell me to go to school, or even that I didn't have to go, and Dad didn't even know the teacher's name. At the time, I learned online that this was what they would call low-level child neglect. Serika was the same. Actually, I think her situation was worse than mine. She always used to tell me that I was lucky because I got a card. No, a credit card. I didn't have a babysitter at that point, so I had to get my own food. Once I learned how to use the card, I would split the food I bought with Sarika. I don't think her parents hit her or anything either. Oh, but there was one time when she ran over to my place and was really scared. She said her parents had tried to force her to go to a hospital. No, I don't know the details, but her parents supposedly said all kinds of awful things about how she was crazy and wasn't normal. So I think it was a psychologist or psychiatrist, or someone who worked at a hospital like that. She cried for a long, long time, which is why I let her stay in my room for a while. My parents never cleaned it, and they never looked inside of it either. Yeah, thinking back, we were probably together all the time when I was little. No, I've never met Sarika's parents. She said they were almost never home. I don't think I ever went to her home either. They didn't have a computer, so there was no reason for me to visit. Huh? I'm not sure. I don't think she went to school a lot. I never saw her playing with anyone except me, and we were busy finding information on the internet, so we were much smarter than... No, never mind. When we were in 4th grade, 2 years before the earthquake, we heard a rumor about Ami-chan, an urban legend. So the two of us snuck into the basement of the hospital to look for it. Yes, AH Tokyo General Hospital. And the reason why we did it was because we loved doing stuff like that, both Sarika and I. That was where we saw the experiment being performed on Minamisawa. We got scared and ran. At the time, I couldn't even imagine what was actually happening there. That was the first time we both went outside and snuck into somewhere else. Sarika, I think she was scared. I remember thinking that I needed to protect her. But I think that both of us were equally excited. We had been able to learn something that no one else knew about. Sarika told me I should go to school and tell everyone what I saw, and so I did. But of course, everyone thought I was lying. We started searching the sumo stickers and other urban legends. We even made a webpage about it to investigate it together. When we were in 6th grade, the new generation madness started. That was 2009. It was like I was having a fever dream or something. At first, we couldn't believe that something like this was happening in the city we lived in. We spent almost the whole day glued to the computer, following the news. When something big like that's going on, if you take your eyes off the internet for even a few hours, you'll get left behind. We stayed up all night in shifts following the case. Sometimes we'd use our cell phones to check the internet as we actually went out to the crime scenes and took pictures. More and more murders kept happening, and eventually people started to say that Nichijo Takumi was the killer, but he ended up proving them wrong. Sarika and I both got very excited. He seemed so cool. Sure. I thought that proving your innocence meant getting the right information, and shoving it in the faces of the people whose information was bad. It seemed like the ultimate expression of what I was trying to do back then, and what I suppose I'm still trying to do now with the newspaper club. Sarika said he was amazing. I agreed. I just realized there's like people that probably played Chaos Child first, and then went to play Chaos Head, and it's like, oh yeah, Takumi, that cool guy, we got to know about him, and then it just, oh, he's a degenerate loser. Anyways. When the earthquake happened, Sarika and I were nearing the O-front building. Nichijo-san was causing commotion there at the time, and we wanted to see. Suddenly, there was this high-pitched noise, and everything went white. And that was when it happened. At first, we didn't think it was an earthquake. We thought it was a bomb or something. The ground bounced up and down like a trampoline, and several of the telephone poles near us fell over. I could hear screaming and the sound of breaking glass. Someone yelled, "Earthquake!" And that's how I knew it was an earthquake. And anyway, Sarika Blah, 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 blah. Sarika and I ran away so we wouldn't get caught up in the people panicking. We didn't know where we were running, but we didn't want to be there. We got caught up in the crowds, and Sarika and I were quickly separated. And when that happened, I got scared, and all of a sudden I couldn't move. I got pushed over and fell, and then I crawled behind something. The shaking had stopped, but what had scared me more than the earthquake was the way everyone around me had changed in an instant. I spent a long time in that spot, unable to move. The idea of going home never occurred to me. There's no way I could rely on my parents for help, and at the time, I thought that no place in Shibuya was still standing. I didn't know what to do. But suddenly, I found Sarika passed out near me. She must have been pushed down and hit her head, or maybe she hadn't been able to handle what she was seeing, because she had passed out. I decided that I had to save her. The information online said that Yoyogi was relatively undamaged, and that the hospital there was accepting patients. I carried her on my back and started walking there. And then... ellipsis. No, never mind. Anyway, I just kept walking and finally, I reached AAAaaa Tokyo General Hospital, which had been turned into a temporary shelter. Sarika looked like she was in pain and blah blah blah. Sarika looked like she was in pain the whole way there. She didn't wake up. I saw my parents there. And then I collapsed from a terrible headache. That's all I remember from the earthquake. When I woke up, I was in Aoba dorm, and a year had passed while I was in a coma. And that's where I met Nono and the others. Ellipsis. Sorry, I'm fine. I heard what happened then from Nono and Sarika. Sarika woke up at the hospital and saw me unconscious. She stayed with me the whole time. When AAAaaa Tokyo General Hospital overflowed with patients, I was moved to one of the other hospitals in their network, and she came with me. She wasn't in good shape either, and I guess she didn't want to go home. She refused to leave my side, and when the people from the hospital saw her, they put her into care. Counseling, I mean. She said her parents died in the earthquake, so did mine. Given the circumstances, the hospital didn't seem to mind her staying there with me, but once things started to calm down, they sent her home. She found some relatives who agreed to help her get a place, the one she has now, and then every day after that, she came to visit me in the hospital. No, I don't know. I think she said they were relatives who lived a long way away. No, I don't know their names. I'm sorry. Some time passed, and since there was nobody to take me in, I was moved to Aoba dorm. But she still stayed by my side the whole time. And that's when she met Nono, I guess. Ellipsis. They were good friends. When I woke up after more than a year, I had trouble moving. Nono helped me with my physical therapy. Sarika would check in on me all the time, and Nono would happily tell her my progress. Family was very, very important to Nono, and Sarika was the one person outside the family that she called by her first name, not her last. And the two of them would go out and visit all the different crepe shops in Shibuya, and since Sarika didn't have any interest in makeup or clothes, Nono would take her shopping for them. They really were good friends. But after my therapy ended and I could walk, I started going to school more and more. Yes, not middle school. I was given special permission to be in second year, along with the other kids my age. Sarika did the same as a first-year student. After the earthquake, while I was in a coma, she'd started going to school. It was hard living on her own, but Nono would take care of her, and her relatives sent her plenty of money. She seemed to be doing better than she was at her old house. No, there was nothing strange, I think. I went to Hekiko Academy because they offered free tuition for orphans of the earthquake. A year later, so did Serika. We both joined the newspaper club and did things there. It was exactly as you saw it, I think. She spent a lot of time with us at school, but she had her own friends in her own class. She wasn't part of any of their groups, but it didn't seem like they were ignoring her or anything. I never seen her with anybody suspicious, and she wasn't the type of person to keep secrets. When I didn't have a charger, she'd just hand me her phone and let me use it. That was the kind of girl she was. Yes. Serika was a normal high school kid, just like the rest of us. November 5th, 2015, Thursday. At the same time. On the streets of Shibuya. I guess I'll finally be finding out what's up with Serika. Serika was running. She was out of breath and had a terrible headache. There was sweat all over her body, and it wasn't from exhaustion, I can read. Running a few minutes wasn't enough to tire her out. Compared to what she had to do to her mind and body to commit the murders, this was nothing at all, huh? Damn. She touched the small cut on her stomach as she ran. She felt slick blood, a sensation she was long since tired of. She would probably have to stitch it up, but if her organs weren't ruptured, she'd be fine. She was used to getting stitches without anesthetic. She didn't even need a towel to bite down on to relieve the pain. The needle didn't even need to be a medical one. But this terrible headache was new to her. Serika stopped when she saw there was no one around. You're slowing me down. She punched the wound on her stomach hard, 2 or 3 times. The sensation of a fierce external pain, a sensation she was used to, ran up her spine. She hoped that it would alleviate the pain of her headache. She hoped that her brain would decide the pain of her open wound was more important than the headache. But the headache didn't stop. It felt like a cold needle was being driven into her head with every heartbeat, as her mind screamed at her that something was terribly wrong. She knew why. Just trying to interfere with his power did this to me. Her head hurt, but her mind was still capable of clarity. Her foe was far stronger than she'd expected. Mind control. An unimaginably horrible form of hypnosis, which can make anyone do whatever you wanted. When he was an ally, she thought it was the greatest power imaginable. Now that he was an enemy, it seemed like the worst. No. That's not right, she left her herself. He hadn't been an ally. He hadn't been a helper or a co-conspirator either. Hadn't been. If you could call him anything, he was a blackmailer. The phone in her hand started vibrating. It wasn't the one she'd used when she pretended to be a normal person. She destroyed that one a while ago, so the police couldn't track her. It was the one he'd given her for communicating with him. It probably belonged to someone they'd killed. Perhaps he'd used mind control to steal it from someone who never even knew it was gone. She stared at the screen for a moment, but finally decided to answer it. How's your stomach? Who is this, Zero? Sorry, you just attacked me out of nowhere. My body just moved on its own. I wish I had like a voice modulator for things like this. You'll just have to use your imagination.
嘘をつけ。
Liar.
私の
You were
行動を
expecting
予想してい
it.
た
I
くせ
could
に
read your mind.
やっぱりかとお前の思考が言っていたぞ。
He must have found something funny because the man on the other end laughed. It's just like you. Unless they're weak, it should be though. So, you can always tell me why I'm right.
しら
You
じ
know
らしい。
damn well why. Sedeka's voice was filled with rage. He knew, and yet he had asked anyway. He was either a sadist or some kind of a sick hedonist. Words. The methods he came up with for his murders always felt like one big joke.
どうして宮代
Why
拓
did he
郎を
make
主犯に
Miyashiro
仕立て上げ
Takaru
た
out to be the killer?
一連の事
The
件
plan was to make it
すべ
look
て
like
南
Minami
沢
Sawa
千里
Senri
の
was
犯行と
behind
して
this.
決着させるはずだったろう。
You're saying I was responsible? Of course you were, asshole, Serika thought to herself. A warrant had been put out for Miyashiro only a few hours after Kurisu Nono's death, in a way that would normally never be possible. There was no way they'd given out a miner's real name in that short span of time unless he had used his power.
一体どういうつ
What
も
the
りだ。
hell are you thinking? This light was out for me. He's learned too much. I'm actually doing you a favor here.
何？
What? Your mind reading power has helped me a lot. You were supposed to kill him, but instead, I'm just gonna have him arrested as the killer. She hated the fact that she was on the phone. Without being able to see him, she couldn't read his mind. She wanted to know what he was really thinking.
南沢千里
It's just better for
彼
your
を犯
plans
人
if
と
he's
して
the
祭り上
criminal,
げた
not
方が
Minami
都
Sawa
合が良く
Senri,
なった
right?
だけだろう。余計なこと
He'll
を知
be
ってい
locked
る彼
away,
は
where he
世間
can't
に
tell
出てこ
anyone
なくなる。
anything,
そ
and
の
the
上
press will think that
自
he
分
was
の
the
姉
one
と
who killed
妹
his
を殺した
sisters.
主犯
Let's
とい
talk
うこと
about
で
the story
話
even
題性
more.
もつく。その方が
That
歴
will
史シー
attract
ル
even
に
more
注目も
attention
集
to
ま
the
るから
sumo
な。
stickers.
しかも
And do
犯
you
人と
seriously
して逮
expect me
捕
to
されて
believe
終
he'll
わり
get
だと。
off with just an
宮代
arrest?
拓郎は最
As
初の
one of
犯
the
行で
first
ある9
murders
月
on
7日時点
September
で
7th,
すでに18
Miyashiro
歳だ。
Takaru was 18 years old.
犠牲者は7
There were
人。
7
未成
victims.
年として
No
は
matter
犯
has ever
罪史上
committed
最
that
多。
many murders.
今の世
The
論の
way
流れな
public
ら
opinion's
十
going,
中八
there's a
極刑
99%
になる。
chance he'll get the death
そんなこ
penalty.
と
Did you
私が
think
わ
I
からな
wouldn't
いと
know
でも
that? You won't know until he goes to trial, will you?
どうせお前が
And
操
when
作
that
するんだ
happens,
ろ
he'll
う
be
な。
controlling the whole thing. I can read. Sarika yelled into her phone, and the man started laughing again. She didn't know if it was because she'd yelled or because his laughter pissed her off, but the headache got worse, which only made her even more angry. You really are great. Why not come back to me? Your power is of great value to me, and you're smart. You have guts too.
ふざけるな。
Shut the hell up.
彼が無
His
事である
safety
こと。
was the one
これがお
condition
前
I
に手
had
を
for
貸す
helping
唯一
you.
の条件だったはずだ。
You're also stubborn.
それ以外
I
の
don't
こと
care about anything
私の
about
価値な
that.
どない。
Miyashiro Takaru's survival. That was the one thing she cared about since she came into this world. Being a murderer, being an accomplice to murder, using her mind-reading powers to find psychics. She's done it all for that reason. But now... So let me ask you then. What will you do now? You're not going to take him and run, are you? Sarika managed to stop herself from speaking. He was right. She thought it was the only way. And that's impossible, and you know it.
やってみなけれ
We
ばわ
won't
か
know
らな
until
い。
we try.
お前の
Your
力
power
は
is a
確かに
threat.
脅
But
威に
maybe
見え
there's
るが、
not much
委
someone
員会
so
の
low on the
末端がで
committee's
きること
totem
に
pole
は
can actually
実
do
は
is
限界
there.
があるんじゃないのか。
And so he come to her for help, right? She thought that this was her only chance to save Miyashiro. It's the fact that as of right now, you don't have him, and neither do the police. You don't know where he is, do you? You got me there. That's right. I'm all the way at the bottom of the org chart. I don't even know who the main members are. I mean, if you don't know that, that just tells me you're not actually part of the committee of 300. And then he spoke in a voice that sounded a little too deliberate. She could sense his lips curling into a smile. I guess Frisia would be a good place to start. She finally gave a small gasp. She thought that was where he was hiding too. How did he know about Frisia? When she whispered that to herself, he said, "Listen, you told me all about Frisia. Don't you know how much she and Nina trusted me?" I wish you guys could see the face that I'm pulling as I'm just looking at this text box here. Hello? Excuse you? Is this their dad? Die, asshole. Serika hung up the phone and started to run, ignoring the pain in her head. I think that might be their dad. I see. So that's it, Kunosata-san said in a voice that was almost too soft to hear. And then she put her hand up to her head and started to think. I told Kunosata-san the same thing I just told Shinja-san. Shinja-san had brought me back to Frisia and gave me a stern warning not to leave again. Then he'd quickly gone back to his investigation, in theory, looking for me. Really? Stop being so stupid, Miyashiro-senpai. And that's right. Arimita was crying and screaming. They're going to arrest Senpai. It was a mess. I was not crying. Both Arimita and Mose-san were worried about me. I was grateful for that. The only ones who knew the truth were the other three people in this room. Shinja-san, Kazuki, and Duki. We may have all had different goals, but if nothing else, they knew I wasn't the killer, and they were working to find the real killer, Serika. Only now did I realize how stupid it was for me to run away. Compared to this morning, the thick fog in my brain had lifted a little. No. I'm fine. Don't think about revenge. Don't do anything dangerous. And live the same life as everyone else does. Don't get buried among the crowd. And the words in the letter were like heavy weights, keeping me grounded. Miyashiro, Arimura. Yes? Kunosata-san turned away from the computer screen and toward us. Her expression was even more stern than usual. I believe I said this before, but I'm absolutely certain that the white light seen during the Shibuya earthquake is in some way responsible for your powers. You know that there was a planetarium near the epicenter of the earthquake, right? That planetarium was bought out by a certain company, and according to Shinja-san's investigations, after that purchase, suspicious men were seen there many times. Not to mention, there are multiple witness reports of what sound like real blue phenomena. We also know that this company is deeply connected to H Tokyo General Hospital. So what exactly are you trying to say? This is just a hypothesis, but I believe that this planetarium was just like that basement facility. It was being used for some kind of giggling maniac-related experiments, or at least something similar. But then, the earthquake destroyed the planetarium. Or perhaps it was vice versa. The earthquake was caused by one of the experiments
プラネ
going
タリウムでの
awry.
実験にトラブルがあって地震を引き起こしたのかもしれないが
Close. The earthquake was caused by an experiment going according to plan. Thumbs up.
とにかく
Either way, they were experimenting to find some kind of casual factor that could create gigalomaniacs, which ended up spreading around the surrounding area.
私は
That's what I think that white light
それが
was.
白い光だと考えている
有村ちゃんたち
Some
の脳
kind
か
of
ら
material that drew
ギ
the
ガロマニアッ
gigalomaniac
クスの能
powers
力
out
を
from
吹
your
き出して
brains,
し
I
まった
guess.
原因物質ってことかしらね。物質じゃなくて
It might not
電
have
磁波
been
みたいなものだと
matter.
か
It could have been
エネルギーとか
electromagnetic waves,
そういうものか
energy,
もしれな
or
いけど
something similar. Narrows eyes at electromagnetic waves mention.
ああ
Oh, so like an allergen.
アレルゲンみたいなものですね
You guess the experiment didn't totally turn out how they wanted, what with the dramatic duel to the death and all that? Well, the experiment itself went according to the plan. They just didn't account for outside factors that had nothing to do with it, which resulted with the dramatic duel to the death and all that.
全く違う
Not even close.
ちょっとば
Don't
かり
use
聞
words
きかけ
whose
ただけの
meanings you
言葉を
don't really
使うな
understand.
バ
It
カは
makes you
黙
look
っ
like
て
an
いろ
idiot who needs to shut up. Adimita frowned. The two of them still weren't getting along.
こうして
You
光
can
を浴び
safely
てしま
assume
った多数の
everyone
人間の
who
脳に
was bathed in this light, white light was exposed to this casual factor, whatever it
ただ
was.
し
It was likely
全員が
sent into the
覚醒したわ
brains
け
of
じゃない
many different people, but not all of them awakened.
これまでの研
My
究に
research
よれ
has shown
ば
that this only occurred to the
脳が
young,
まだ発達
whose
段階
brains
で
were still
活
developing,
発に活動して
particularly
いる
those
若いのに
experiencing something that put them under
その
extreme
中でも
mental load.
脳への負荷が非常に高い事象を経験した者だけに能力の発現が見られる
はい
Right. I nodded. I knew exactly what she was talking about.
能力者の能力
The
は
powers a psychic develops
その出来
depends
事
on what that something
と
was,
いうより
or more accurately,
その出来
how
事
their
に対
minds
して
reacted to it.
どんな心理的作用が働いたかに依存している
その話
We've talked
みん
about
なでした
that.
ことあり
The
ま
wish
す
you made is what you
ど
decides
ん
your
なことを
powers,
望んだかで
right?
能力が決まるってことですよね
ありていに言え
And
ば
that's
そう
more
い
or
うこ
less
とに
the
なる
case. Back when I first woke up from my coma after the earthquake, I experienced a lot of stress because my body wouldn't move the way I wanted it to. I never wanted to go through that again. Not only that, but the psychological stress I endured from wondering whether or not I might be stuck like that forever was also incredibly terrifying. And that was why I gained my power of psychokinesis. When I was telling that to Kunosata-san, my mind flashed back to how Nono helped me with my physical therapy. She'd done her best to cheer me up, at times kind and gentle, at times strict. She was always there for me. But now she was...
ダメだ
No,
しっかり
get a
しろ
hold
よ
of yourself, Miyashiro
足だけ
Takaru. I forced myself to snap out of it. And then I realized that Kunosata-san was staring at me.
あの
宮代拓の能
Your
力
power
は
is
サイコキネ
psychokinesis.
シス
The cause was your difficult
その
physical
発生要
therapy.
因は
That's what I'd
過酷なリハビリ。
incorrectly assumed when I first investigated
私
you.
もお前のことを調べてそう思い込んでいた
For some reason, she looked frustrated.
思い込んでいた
Incorrectly.
安易な
I
判
jumped to
断と思い込
conclusions,
み
which means that I still have a
私
lot
も
of
まだまだ
learning
未
to
熟
do.
だ
If not for that,
本
I
当
could
なら
have figured out the truth between
も
all
っ
of
と
my
早く
Serika
オノエセリ
much
カ
more
にたどり着けて
quickly.
いたかもしれないのに
Huh?
どういうこ
What do you
とです
mean
か
by that? He loves seeing Takaru because it's just, tee he is blue. I mean,
今も言ったろ
exactly what I just said.
能力者
All
か
the psychics developed their
い
powers
ずれも
after
地震
being
の
struck
時
by
に
that white light
ギガロ
during
マ
the
ニアックスの
earthquake
発生因子を
because
浴
of
び
the
て
casual
能力を
factor.
発現させている。おそらく
My guess is that the
あの過
intensity of
酷
the
な地震
earthquake
が
put them under
彼
immense
らに
stress,
強いストレス
which
と
made
願
them
望を
wish
与
for
え
something,
そ
which
れが引
itself
き金と
became
なっ
the
た。
trigger for their powers.
お前もそうだな
That was it.
有村。
That's how it was for you, right, Arimura?
ええ
Yes. Arimura had talked about that before. That her powers had awoken during the earthquake. And that the cause was because she wanted to know the truth.
山添由紀も
And the
そう
same
だ
is true of Yamazoi Uki.
佐久間先
Dr.
生からの
Sakuma's
レポート
report
によ
says
れ
that her
ば
powers developed
能
right
力
after
の
the
発現は
earthquake.
やはり渋谷地震の直後だという。それと
The same goes for Haida
パイロキネシ
Riko,
ス
the
トのハイダリ
pyrokinetic.
コ。
We finally managed
あ
to
の女のこと
investigate
も
her
ようやく調べ
thoroughly.
終えたが、
Kunos let the sun pointed to a corner of her screen. It was displaying the data about the pyrokinetic that had threatened us.
ハイダリコは
Her face was
渋
badly
谷地
burned
震で
during the
顔にやけ
earthquake,
どを負い、
and just like the other
他の能力者
psychics,
と
she
同様
developed her powers
その直
immediately
後に覚醒
afterward.
している。絶望感
In
によ
her
る過度の
case,
スト
she
レ
was
スが
overwhelmed by intense stress
他の
caused
人
by
間
her
に
despair,
自分と同
and
じ
she
絶望
subsequently
を与
wished
え
to
てや
make
りた
other
いという
people feel
暗
the
い願
same
望
pain
が
as her.
発生因
Those
子と
two
結び
things
ついたらし
connected
い。
with the casual factor.
これで分かった
Now
ら
you understand, right? Of
も
course,
ちろん
I
全ての
haven't
能力者を調
investigated
べた
every
わけではない
psychic,
が、
but every single one that I know of
私が
awoke
知
to
る
their
限り
powers right after being struck
全員
by that white light.
例の白い光を浴びた直後に能力を得ている。1年以上
No
の
one
タ
in
イム
my
ラグがあ
data
ったも
set
のな
developed
ど
their powers a year later.
私の持っているデータの中にはいないんだよ。
It's hard to understand what Kunosato-san was trying to say. And that's when I started to get a bad feeling.
情報を精
When I
査し
went
たと
back
ころに
over
よ
the
ると
information, I
能
found
力
that
者の
there's
力が
always a
発
major
現する
side
際に
effect
は
whenever a psychics
必ず
first
大きな副
manifest
作
their
用が起こる。
powers.
耐え難い
An
ほどにひど
unbearable
い
headache.
頭痛だ。これは
I believe it's due to
血管拡張によるも
expansion
の
of
だ
the
と思う。
blood vessels.
頭痛の原
That's
因
an
の中では
extremely common
極めて
reason
ポ
for
ピ
the
ュラーで、
headaches,
片頭
particularly
痛と診断される
migraines.
痛みも血管が拡張するために起こる。ギガロマニアッ
Some
ク
of
スの
our
場合の血管
data
拡張は
indicates that this is the case of
発
a
生因子が引き金
giglomaniac.
となって、
The casual factor
ドー
is
パ
the
ミンと
trigger that results in the
それに
excess
類
of
した神
dopamine
経
in
伝
similar
達物質が過剰に
neurotransmitters.
分泌されるのが原因というデータが出て
This
いる
in
んだ。
turn results in the swelling. And then she paused. She was probably giving me time to think.
そこで
So,
宮
Miyashiro,
代に質問だ。
did you feel any terrible headaches during your physical
お前は
therapy?
リハビリの時にひどい頭痛を経験したことはあるのか？
I tried to think, but I couldn't remember any pain in my head, just from the rest of my body, particularly in my joints.
いえ、
No,
おそら
I
く
don't think so.
ないと思います。
なら
In that case,
他
there should
の
have
能
been a
力者
moment
と同
during
じ
the
ように
earthquake when you
地
experienced a
震の際
terrible
にひどい頭
headache,
痛を経
just
験し
like
た
the
瞬
other
間があったはずだ。
psychics. I could hear my heartbeat loudly. My vision started to blur. Then my heart beat so loud that I could hear it.
その時
What were you doing back
お前は
then?
何をしていた？
I had a very bad feeling. What was I doing back then?
いや
No. Let me ask a more
正確に聞こう。
precise question. During the
地震の
earthquake,
時に
what did you wish
お
for?
前は何を望んだ？例えば
Did you want to maybe
危険を
move
回避
away
する
some
ために
rubble so that you could avoid
瓦
some
礫を意の
danger?
ままに動かしたいと
Did
望
that
んだ
give
の
you
か？
your psychokinesis?
それでサイコキネシスを手に入れたのか？
Ellipsis.
違う。
No. That wasn't what I wished
望ん
for.
でなんかいない。あの時、
What I wished for back then
僕が望ん
was...
だのは
Serika, save me. Please. Please. For a moment, it felt like my headache I'd experienced during the earthquake had come back, and I grabbed my head in pain. I tried to get the idea out of my head, but it wouldn't disappear. No, that can't be right.
どうした
What's wrong? Kunosato-san stared at me. Her expression was as stern as ever. Soon after, she started typing on her computer. It now displayed a different set of data than before. For some reason, I felt like I was being driven further and further into a corner.
これは尾上の
This is
カルテだ
Onoe's medical record.
日付
It's
は
dated November 21st,
2009年
2009.
11月
It was found on a
21日
system at a hospital affiliated with the
AH
AH
東京
Tokyo
総合病
General.
院の系列病院に残っていたお前は地
You
震の
said you were
後
a patient there
ここに
after the
入っていた
earthquake,
と言ってい
right?
たな
Which means that this is where Onoe
という
would have
こ
been
とは
given her counseling.
お前に付き添っていた尾上もこの病院でカウンセリングを受けたわけだところが
However, there are no records of
尾上の
Onoe
記録は
prior to this date.
これ以前には存在しないそうでしたね
Correct, Momose-san.
百瀬さん
I couldn't find her family register or anything else, Momose-san said, but her voice sounded unreal and far away.
ありえ
That's
ないですよ
impossible.
だって
Onoe's always been by my
小さい時
side
から
ever since you
僕
were
と
little kids.
家が隣
You
同
live
士だっ
next
た
door
ら
to
しい
each
な
other, correct?
そうです
That's right.
当時
At the time,
お前
you
が住
lived
んで
in
い
a
たマンショ
sixth-floor
ンは
condo at the end
6
of a
階の
hall.
角部屋
Your neighbors were named Arai.
隣の住
They
人
were
の
an
名前
elderly
は荒
couple
井
who retired from the company
経
they
営して
ran.
いた会社を
They
引退
had
し
no
た
children.
年金受給者の老夫婦だ子供は設けていない
My heart was now beating even louder. It was getting on my nerves. It was a strange sensation. I could hear all of her words, but I couldn't understand what they meant. Even my breathing was getting faster.
違います
No,
お
she
前は
lived next
隣
to
に住ん
me.
でいて
Her parents
両
were
親から無
neglecting
視されて
her.
いて
その両
Did you
親と
ever
やら
meet
に
her parents?
会ったことはある
No,
のか
right?
ないんだろ尾上には当
You said she
時
didn't have any other
他に友
friends.
達がいな
But
かった
before the
そうだが
earthquake, did you actually see her ever
そもそも
talk to anyone besides you?
地震以前に尾上が誰か第三者と話しているのを見たことがあるか
それを
That's... I didn't. But that was because she didn't have any friends. When we sometimes went outside, she was always with me, and she never left my side for an instant. Kunosato-san tapped at the keyboard, and the screen changed.
これは
And this is your
お前の
medical
カルテだ。
record. It was also found at that same
その系
hospital.
列病院に残っていたものだ
They really had a doctor write this because damn, it's hard to read. Let's see. Parents is always talking to himself, circled. X out 2 rows. Like someone else is there. One day he came up with the name Onoe, and now he uses it constantly. Patient. My parents are never at home, so I spend the time with my friend. Onoe, who's always around, encircled. Family difficulties also circled. The patient and the parents' view of family life vary differently. Patient is stable but portrays unnatural and antisocial tendencies. Unnatural antisocial tendencies. Constantly talking to himself and showing dependency on the aforementioned friend. And that's in brackets with a little arrow pointing at reacts defensively. That's all I can read. If only I'd found it sooner, she whispered. At some point, I'd started crying. I couldn't see the screen through my blurry vision.
お前が昏
It
睡状
says
態
the
に
cause of
陥
your
った原
coma
因
was
は
unknown.
不明とさ
They
れてい
probably
る
had no idea of the presence of the casual
発生因子
factor.
のことが
But
解明でき
instead,
なかったんだ
it
ろう
has the records in the psychology
Da.
department of another hospital.
その代わり別の病院の精神科の診察記録が追記されている
Another hospital? psychology department. I'd never been to another hospital. It must have been some mistake.
2006年の
It
日
stated
付か。
2006. So when you were
お
in
前
the
が
third
小学
grade,
3年の時
it
だ
states
な。
that you were heavily reliant on an
イマジナリ
imaginary
ーフレン
friend.
ドへの過度の傾倒と診断されている。
Oh yeah, that's right, it said heavily. An imaginary friend.
簡単に言え
A
ば
friend who only exists in your
空想上の友人
fantasies.
のことだ。
My
空想
fantasies. And that's not true, a voice in my head said over and over.
イマジナリーフレンド
Imaginary
自体は
friends
珍
themselves
しい
are
ものじ
very
ゃない。
common. It's not a disease.
そもそも病気では
Around
なく、
30% of infants
幼児
have
の3
them.
割近くが空想上の友達を持っている。何もない
There
空
are
間に
fans
話
of
しか
the
ける子
occult who
供
say
に
that
対
when
し
an
て
infant talks to an
幽
empty
霊が見え
space,
ていると決
it's
めつけ
because
る
they
オ
can
カルト
see
マニアたち
ghosts.
がいるが、
I'm sure you've at least heard of those stories,
そういう
right?
マニアの話を聞いたことくらいあるだろ。
嘘
You're lying.
です。
だが、
But very few people
思春
maintain
期ま
their
でイマジ
imaginary
ナリー
friends
フレンド
until
を持続してい
puberty.
る人間と
It's
なる
distinct
と、
from dissociative
その
identity
数は激
disorder.
減する。
But if you ask me, the symptoms are
乖離
almost
性同一性
identical.
障害とは区別されているが、私に言わせれば、脳の状態はほぼ同一だ。
It's hard to refute that because I could understand that statement, actually. I could see how it could be almost identical, but it's definitely distinct. Yeah, definitely still different.
お前の話に出て
The
く
only
る
way you described from
地震前の
before the
お前は
earthquake was always jealous
お
of
前
you,
を常
right?
に羨んでいた。
She was also a neglected child, but she
同
said
じ
that
ネグ
you
レ
were
クト状
better
態
off
にあり
than
ながら、
her.
お前の方がマシだと。
I tried to yell at her to stop, but my throat hurt too much for me to speak. And the taste of blood filled my mouth. I must have bit my lip. I'd started crying without even realizing it.
イマジナリーフレンド
The
の大
vast
半
majority
は
of imaginary friends are
友好的なも
friendly.
のとして
That's
存在
because
す
they
る。
fulfill the desire for esteem.
それで自分の承認欲求を満たすためだ。
I like that desire for esteem is a tip, but not dissociative identity disorder.
違う。
No.
自分に不利益な事実を
Transfer
空想上の友人に
Transference
押
of
し付ける
negative
のは
facts onto an imaginary
むしろ
friend is
同一
actually
性障
something
害
more
に多く
commonly
見られ
seen
る
in
症状なん
identity
だが、
disorders. But
違う
I'm telling you, you're wrong. Kunosata-san's words were cold and uncompromising.
頭がおか
It
しい。
wasn't Onoe who was told that she was
まともじ
crazy
ゃ
or
ないと言われたの
abnormal.
は己じゃない。それを
It
己
was
に
you.
押し付けたお
And
前
you
なんだよ。
transferred that onto her
Miyashiro
Miyashiro
Takuru.
Takuru.
嘘をつく
Don't
な。
lie to me.
宮代先輩。
I felt a soft hand on my shoulder and turned to look. It was that Imura. She looked at me like I was a young child in need of tender care. Stop it. Don't look at me like that.
久野里さんは
Kunosata-san is telling the
嘘は
truth.
ついてないです。
And all the feelings inside me went cold when I heard her words. Arimita said she was telling the truth. So she really was.
だけど、
So then that
そんなこ
means
と。
I didn't want it to be true. Because if it was,
ノノを
then
殺した尾上は
I'm the one who killed No
こ
No.
の僕がノノを殺し
That
たの
means in
は
the end,
結
I'm
局
the one who
僕って
killed
こと
her.
そこまで
And
に
that's
してもら
enough,
おう。
Kunosata
久野里
Mio.
美代。
Oh. I suddenly heard a voice.
Huh?
What? I turned around and saw someone in front of the door. It was someone I knew very well. Terika jump scare.
尾上
That's right. It was Onoe Sarika. She was very different in every way from how she'd been at the newspaper club. There was an expression on her face that I couldn't read at all.
貴様。
You.
待て。
Wait,
争
I'm
う
not
意
here
思
to
はない。
fight.
ふざける
The
な。
hell you aren't.
本当だ。
It's true.
有村ひ
Arimira
なえ。
Hine.
それ
Would
を
you put
しまっ
that
てくれ
away?
ないか。
Before I knew it, Arimira had summoned her D-sword. She was glaring at Serika and pointing it straight at her.
お前たちに
If
危
I
害
wanted
を
to
加
hurt
え
you,
るつ
I
もりな
wouldn't
ら
just walk
こ
through
ん
the
な
door
に堂
like
々と
this.
姿は見せない。
Great point. Great point. Wait a second. Why is Serika here? What is she doing? Isn't she... Blah, 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 blah. Is she saying she's not here to fight to make me let my guard down? And then kill me? No, forget that. Why did she kill No? All these thoughts slipped through my mind before I could really think about any of them. But then they all came together to form the biggest question of all.
目の前
Did I
のこいつを
actually create her?
本当に僕が
そう。
That's right.
今
It's
思って
exactly
る
as
通
you're
りだ
thinking,
よ。
Miyashiro
宮代
Takuru.
拓。
Serika was looking me dead in the eye. Was she reading my mind? I felt like she could read everything I was thinking.
私は
You created me during
お
the
前に生み出され
earthquake.
た存在だ。あの時にな。
What she said was the one thing I didn't want to admit. So I found myself looking toward Arimita, who had drawn her D-sword and readied it again. Arimita nodded slowly, without taking her eyes off of Serika. I knew that it was her way of saying Serika was telling the truth, but still my heart refused to admit it.
嘘だ
It's a lie.
そんなの
It has to be. Because Serika is as important to me as Nono was. Suddenly, a phone started to vibrate in someone's pocket. Serika's expression changed infinitesimally. Blah, 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 blah.
私のスマホだ。
And that's my
ポケット
smartphone.
に手を入
I'm
れる
putting
ぞ。
my hand in my
他の
pocket.
ものは出さ
I
ない。
won't take anything else
だ
out.
から。
So,
いいな
do。you understand? Serika looked at Arimita as she spoke. Arimita was instantly able to tell if she was telling the truth.
言ってることは
What she's saying
本
is
当で
true.
す。スピーカーにしろ。
Put it on speaker.
疑り深い
You're
女
such
だ
a。suspicious woman. Serika nodded and took out her phone. She went to put it on speaker mode, but before she did, she looked up. Her eyes met with mine.
宮代拓。
Miyashiro
もう
Takuru,
一度
brace yourself
心の
one
準
more
備をしてお
time.
け。お前は
You're about
こ
to
れ
be
まで
hit
と
with
同
a
じ
shock
か
that's as
そ
bad
れ以上
or
のショ
worse
ックを受
than
けること
anything
に
you
なる。
faced before.
お前の
I don't
心
want
が
to see
壊れ
your
るの
heart
を
shatter.
見たくない。
一体何
What
を
are you? What are you saying, Serika? Before I could ask, she put her hand to the phone and answered the call.
よ
Hey,
Frisia
did
に
you
は
make it to
着いたか？
Frisia? I'd heard that voice before, but I couldn't tell whose it was. No, that wasn't right. I didn't want to admit whose voice it was. It was rare to hear his voice come from Serika's phone anyway. Whenever he needed something, he would always call me or No.
どうしてここにいると
How
分
did you
か
know
った
I was here?
というのは
Never
愚
mind.
問
That
だ。
was a stupid question.
まあな。
Yeah, I knew if
ああ
I
言えば
told you
お
that,
前
you'd
は
go
全
running
力でそ
straight
こへ向
there.
かうだろう。
I'd never seen Serika spit like that before. And this time, her face was red with anger.
で、どうだ？
So,
タ
how's
ク
it
ルは
look?
いるか？
Is Takaru there? When I heard the name Takaru, I shivered. I knew it. There was no way I could mistake that voice. And I understood why Serika had told me to be ready for a shock. That voice was...
なあ、タクル。
Hey,
い
Takaru.
るんだろ？
You're there,
俺
right?
だよ。
It's me. Called it. Ha. Ha. And there's the voice of my father, Sakuma Wataru. I don't like that. It was a quick save. I couldn't speak. And the ground beneath me seemed to shift and I felt sick. And the phone seemed to stick out clearly while everything else faded away.
佐久間先生
Lecture Sakuma.
ち
So that's it, huh?
こちらの動きは
They knew everything we were up
みんな
to
筒抜
then.
けだったわけね。
おいタク
Hey
ル
Takaru, you listening?
もしもーし
Hello?
と
Dad? Why?
なんで
おーやっぱり
No,
いる
so
じゃね
you
えか
are there.
なん
But
だ
Runaway hasn't
ま
told
だ
you
お
yet.
前から聞いてねえのか
Told me what? Told me what? Why is Dad calling Zerika's phone?
全部の
Runaway
絵
and
を
I
描いてたの
planned the
は
whole
俺と
thing.
この絵だよ
I didn't understand what he meant. But I could hear my heart pounding loudly.
今回起きた
We
一連
planned
の
the
事
whole
件
thing
の
from
最
the
初から
start.
な
It was a lot of
結構
work,
殺した
you
んだ
know.
ぞ
Went away and had to
俺と二人で
work as a
色々と
team to get all this stuff ready.
一緒にする
We
な
were not a team. I flinched away from her. Sedika was staring at the phone with a look on her face that I'd never seen before.
つれねえな
It's the truth, isn't it? We both worked hard to
二
kill
人で
them
一緒に
all.
頑張って殺してきただろ未来予知の大
Natani,
谷も
the
感
Greekog,
情誘導の高いの
Takayani, the one who controlled the emotions, the mind reader. What was his name again? The one who worked at SafeWorks. No, it doesn't matter. Watabe, Aida, Yuri, Nona too. You and I accomplished all that together. And that was my dad's voice. There was no mistaking it. The names Yui and Nono echoed in my mind. Accomplished together. I felt like I was about to throw up. The taste of stomach acid rose into my mouth. I fell to my knees, unable to stand. Drool and vomit dribbled out the corner of my mouth and onto the floor. Animated was saying something to me. I could hear the words, but I couldn't understand them. This had to be a dream. It had to be just a bad dream because... Why would Dad do something like that?
顔を上げる
Raise your head. Dad and Serika had killed them. Killed Yui. Killed Nono. Killed two of her family.
こっちを見ろ
Look at me. Why? What is this? That doesn't make any sense at all.
一体
What the hell is going
なんだ
on?
よ
こっちを見ろ
Look at me, Miyashiro Takaru. Our eyes met. Sarika was looking at me, her expression fierce.
大丈夫だ
Everything's going to be alright. She looked straight into my eyes.
私がいる
I'm here for you.
大丈夫だ
Everything is going to be alright. Alright. How will anything be alright after this?
随分な言葉
And
だ
that's quite the statement. Terika's eyes narrowed as she looked at Kunosata-san.
安心しろ
Don't worry,
この里によ
Kunosata-mia.
今
I have
さ
no
らお前
intention
と
of
分か
trying
り
to
合おう
make
な
you
どと思っていない
understand.
お前たちの
Nor do I
側に
want
立ち
to
たい
be
と
on
思う
your people's side. Kunosato and Narimiro went pale.
お前
You... I see.
そうか。
So that's your power.
それがお前の能力か。思考
Mind reading.
洞察。
頭の回
You're
転が
sharp.
早いな。
That's right.
そう
The same thing Kakita
柿田
had.
博則と同じものだ。
おい
Hey,
タク
Takeru. You listening?
聞こえてっかつうわけで
Come
よ
on. Tell me you're there.
名乗り出てくれ
父さん
Dad.
なんで
Boy. What's
どう
going
いうこ
on?
となんだよ。
言っただ
I
ろ
told you. I know I did
俺
it
がや
all.
ったことだって
だから
But why
それ
would
っ
you
て
do
どういうことな
that?
んだよ。
佐久間渡
Sakuma
は
Wataru
委
works
員
for the
会の人
committee.
間なんだ。
Tadeka said the word like she was disgusted by it. When Kunosato-san heard it, her face filled with anger.
正確に
More
は委
precisely,
員会
a
の
very
末端
small
の組織
organization that works for them.
病院の地下で
He was one of the
ギガロ
ones
マニア
doing
ックスの研
Giglomaniac
究をしてい
research
た
in
連
that
中の一人
basement.
だ。連中は
They
渋
decided that
谷
all the
地震の影
psychics
響で
accidentally
イレギュ
created
ラー
by
に
the
発生してしま
Shibuya
った能
earthquake
力
was
者を邪魔
to
な
be
存在と捉え
irregularities
飼
that
ってい
could be
た。
threatened. Okay, I'm gonna retry reading that. They decided that all the psychics accidentally created by the Shibuya earthquake to be irregularities that could threaten their plans, so they hunted them down and killed them.
私は
I helped
それに
them
協
in
力してい
exchange
た。
for ensuring that you,
宮代拓郎
Miyashita Takeru,
お前を
would
その
not be
狩り
one
から
of their
外すことを
targets.
条件にな。
I felt like I couldn't breathe. The air was just leaking out of my mouth. Dad was what?
お前よ
Run away.
お前
You're seriously
本当に
planning to
タクロ
take
を連れて逃げ
Takeru
る
and
気か
run.
お前は約
You
束
broke
を
your end
保
of
護
the
にし
deal.
た。
I'll do as
好
I
きにさせ
please.
てもらう。
そうじゃな
And
く
that's
て
not what I mean.
そんなこと可能だと思って
Do
ん
you
の
really
か
think that's even possible? Just a second.
ぼちぼちだな
Yeah, seems
ちょう
okay.
どいい
Just turn on the
テレビ
TV.
見ろ
Any
ど
channel
の
is
チャンネルで
fine.
もいいからよ
何？
What?
いいからよ
Just do it. You got a TV there, right? And someone, probably Momose-san, turned on the TV. And the voice of the TV announcer filled the room.
続きまして
An update on the
渋谷で発生
bizarre
した連続
series of
猟奇
murders in
事件に関する
Shibuya.
速報です 未成年の
This case has
実名を
attracted
公
a
表
lot of
したことにより
attention
注目
because
さ
the
れている
police
今回の
released the
事件
suspect's
です
full
が
name, despite him being a minor.
先ほど
Miyashita
重要参考人として
Takeru-kun,
指名
who is
手配
wanted
され
as
て
a
いる
person of interest in this
宮代
case,
拓郎君
has just sent a message to the
報道機
media.
関宛てにメールで連絡が入りました
What? Sedeka turned and looked at me. I don't understand.
僕は何
I
もしてない
didn't do that.
そのメールには
The message,
明日
delivered in the
渋谷
form
で
of
開
an
催される
email,
渋谷復興
says that he
祭において
plans to take his life
注目の
tomorrow
中
during the
自らの
Shibuya
命を
Restoration
たっぷり記載され
Festival.
ており警察は
The police say
メー
that
ル
the
の
message
中に
contains
犯人しか知り
information
得ない情報
known only to them and the
いわゆ
killer,
る
and so they decided that it was sent by
秘密の
Miyashita
暴露が
Takeru-kun
このメールを
himself.
宮代拓郎君本人からのものと断定しました
I could hear myself let out a short scream. What the hell was this? What the hell was going on?
佐久間。
Sakuma, you...
いや
Well, instead you were going to take Takeru and run away. So I had to come up with something to get you to change your mind. Don't worry, I'm not going to have him actually kill himself. And everybody participating in the festival tomorrow, which is to say, everybody in the city, will be searching for him so that they can watch him die. You could try hiding at Frisia. All I have to do is dig a little bit of information on the internet, and that'll be the end of that. There's no place for him to hide.
ゲスが
Scum. So what will you do, Odawa? If you're willing to give up on Takeru, then I would like to keep working with you. There's still hunting to be done after all. And there's a short silence. Hearing the two of them talk about me didn't seem real. It was like watching the world from the other side of a pane of glass.
わかった。
Fine.
ただし、
But on
条
one
件が一
condition.
つある。
おう
No,
なんだ
and what's that?
お前を
Let me kill
殺
you.
させろ。
あ
今どこに
Where are
い
you
る？
right now?
殺して
Tell
や
me,
るから
so
教
I can
えろ
come
よ。
kill you. His voice suddenly cut off. There's a heavy silence as he tried to figure out what she meant.
つまり
In other
返事
words,
は
the
ノー
answer is no.
宮代拓郎
Miyashita
は
Takuru is the
私が
very
存
reason
在
I
する意味
exist.
そのものだ
I。will not anyone
彼
lay a
に害を
finger
なす
on
者に
him.
は指一本触れさせない。
本気
Are
で
you
言ってんのかよ
serious?
地震の日
It's
に
been
肉体を
6 years
得て
since
から
I
6年。
became real
お
during
前に
the
脅され
earthquake.
ながら
I've
人
been
を
killing
殺し
people for you ever
組織の
since.
ために死体の
Don't
山を築いてきた
underestimate me.
私を甘く見るな。
I heard what sounded like an animal's laugh. It was my father's laugh. The one I'd always heard at Alba dorm.
あー
Nah,
強がりって
it's so
のも
cute when
なか
they're
なか可愛いもん
stubborn.
だな
You just got your stomach
さっ
ripped
き
open
腹
and
を
you
裂かれ
think
た
you
ば
can
っかだ
kill
っての
me?
によお前
Fine. I'll play along. Come to where it all began, okay?
始まりの
Where
場
it all
所。
began.
わかんないか
You don't know what I
今回の
mean?
事件
Where everything about this
6
case,
年前の事件も
where
含
everything
めて
about this case
全て
and the
始
one
ま
that
った
happened
場所
6
だよ
years ago began.
Ah, あそこか。
There, huh?
そう
Yes,
そこだよ
there. Let's see if we can't match the time too. It'll be more
あの
dramatic
時あ
that
の場
way.
所でってやつだお前の死に
It's
場
the
所には
perfect
ぴっ
place
た
for
り
you
だ
to
ろ
die, isn't it?
もちろん
Of course,
タクル
bring
を連れ
Takeru
てこいよ
too. I'm back in the building again, so true. And then suddenly, I heard the cold electronic beep of an ended call. Everyone but me was looking at Sarika on her phone. I was still kneeling on the floor, unable to move. And it's now midnight, November 6th. Our next top story. Chapter 11, Takeru Miyashiro, his struggle. Okay, so I thought for sure there was only 10 chapters. That's on me for thinking that. I should have known better. Man, I am still really looking forward to seeing how the game will wrap itself up, that's for sure. Because I have no ideas at this point still how it's gonna try to do that. I'm still really invested. I imagine you guys are also still really invested. I don't really have any other thoughts to add about it, though, unfortunately. That was a chapter. Thumbs up. We definitely learned a lot more about Sarika. Confirmed that she is a real booted delusion. Hell yeah. I will say the game hasn't been super subtle about some of the hints that they've been dropping that we've been picking up, which makes me concerned about any hints that we haven't picked up on, I'll be honest. Your brain's been stuck on Nono's inner monologue where she says she knows better than anyone that Sarika wasn't there when Tako came across Senri ever since. Yeah, that's fair. I guess that does beg the question as to how Nono would know that he wasn't with her. I'm sure we'll find that out eventually. The fucking dad being the main mastermind here, as far as we're aware, because I'm still not fully convinced, because these games haven't really been the type to like show their hands. It's like, yes, this is truly the evil. Because even with Kimiji Mako and Robotics Notes, not Dash, like the main game, like he seemed like somewhat decent until we learned it's like, oh no, he's an absolute fucking rat, stinky man. So I'm curious about what this game will do differently with that. Just thinking about Taku's flashback when he was carrying Serika on his back and came across the other kids and they thought he was an ass for not helping. They couldn't see Serika because she wasn't real booted yet. Yeah. But then also, like, after that too, like, he had no thoughts about, like, Serika's presence at that point too. He wasn't thinking about her until, like, he was with his parents too. Like, she disappeared from that point until then as well. It's like, wait, where's Serika? Like, if he was actually carrying her, that he would have noticed a lot sooner, you know? At least I know I would notice a lot sooner if something I was carrying on my back that weighed about as much as a person would be gone. Watsuda had given you bad vibes from day one, to be honest, so you're not too shocked as a villain, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, I'm biased because his name is Sakuma Wataru, and it just makes me think of All-Stars characters, so that was red flag number one for me. No, but, I feel like with Wataru, like, it's definitely giving, like, the Lexinen thing in Steins Gate 0, because, like Sinin was definitely a bit fishy, but, like, he still seemed trustworthy enough, and he still was kind of, like, dad-esque in a way with the way he was supportive to the characters that we saw him interact with. But then, you know, he did what he did. And I refuse to pronounce his name correctly to this day. The series does really like its reveal villains. Yeah, that's why I'm like, there has to be something more beyond Sakuma Wataru. There has to be. I don't trust this game to show its cards this early. What did throw you off was fucking Serika being the Moeka of the group. Like, wait, no, you were the Maeshi. Damn it. Maeshi. Thank you guys so much for joining. The heartbreak, the heart-wrenching. We gotta get more of that next Saturday. Very exciting. But thank you guys so much for joining as always. I do appreciate it. Well, I'll catch you all next time. Be it later today, I guess, because it's past midnight. For Somnium Files, or sometime within the week, you know. But, yeah. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yep, I'm tired. Okay. What?